Shalom. I want to start by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach and giving double honors to the elder apostles, bishops, from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000. And I am Mayakala. Just coming to you with part 2 of what we looked into earlier. How do I know that I'm a Hebrew Israelite? Or how do we know that we're the Hebrew Israelites? And when I say we, I'm referring to the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And I just wanted to continue on to go a little bit further as I bring out some things that show who we are and where we come from as a people. And again, this is not to convince anybody, because I know everyone at this point has heard of the Hebrew Israelites. So this is not to convince anyone. This is to encourage those who may have not begun to teach information that they have and things that they know about who they are, to come up off of the sidelines and begin to teach this truth. It is required of you. And this is not to convince anyone. So either you believe this or you don't. But I'm going to continue on, I think, on the last lesson. And I hope this may be edifying to anyone that may be new to this information. So that's why I'm going to bring it along just a little bit at a time. I don't want to make a video that may be too long. I'm just going to get right to the point. On the last lesson, we finished off just showing you the definition of Shem. And again, I'm looking in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. And I'm just going to go over that definition once again. Shem being one of the 3 sons of Noah to survive the flood. One of 8 people. And let's see, when I find this definition. I'll show it to you as I'm reading it. We're looking here at the bottom. It says Shem, which means name. It says the second son of Noah and the progenitor of the Semitic race, born 98 years before the flood, and lived 600 years, outliving his descendants of 9 generations, excepting Eber and Abraham. And since this definition mentions specifically Eber and Abraham, I wanted to look a little bit deeper into Abraham and Eber. And find out what the definitions of their names are. And I'm going to start at, just to go over who Shem's offspring were, his children. I'm going to go over to Genesis chapter 10 and verse, I'm going to start at 22. It says the children of Shem are Elam and Ashur and Arphaxad and Lud and Aram. And the children of Aram were Uz and Hul and Gether and Maash. Verse 24, and Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm going to take a look, because I want to see just exactly what the definition of Eber is and why he is so significant. And I'm going to go to the blue letter and get a definition for Eber. And I'm looking at, I'm at Genesis 10 and 24 to get the definition of Eber. And it says H5676. And I may be saying it wrong, so I want to get the pronunciation of it.
H5677. Aver. Aver.
And we say it's pronounced Aber. And it says the region beyond. The son of Selah, great grandson of Shem, father of Peleg and Joktan. And I'm going to look at the root of the word. And it says H5674. And it says the region beyond or across. A region across, but used only adverbially. It says on the opposite side, especially of the Jordan. So we can see that that definition of his name is the region beyond. So Aber, being one of the grandson of Shem, that blessing was passed on to him. He was to. It actually means Hebrew, and he was to make sure that that lineage and that Hebrew language itself was kept alive. And I'm going to continue reading here. I'm just going to drop down a little bit. And I'm going to go to verse 25. It says, and unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. So I just want to get a definition of Peleg according to the blue letter. Because it says the earth was divided. And we know that the earth was all one piece. That's why it kind of fits together like puzzle pieces when you look at the different continents. So this was what was called the Pangea. It was all one piece prior to Peleg being born. So I want to get a definition for it. And I'll let you hear the pronunciation of it also.
Strong's H6389. Peleg. Peleg.
So they pronounce it Peleg. And the definition is division. It says earthquake. Peleg, a son of Shem. I'm going to even take a look at the root of the word and get that definition as well. It says channel or canal. So after the earth was divided, it was given onto Peleg to make that cross, to make that cross, that journey across the Jordan. And we know that at that time, since the earth had been divided, That was when the Tower of Babel had been built, and it caused a great earthquake. I'm going to go to Genesis. Let's see. I'm going to continue on from Genesis 25. Let's see. And Salaki, I'm going to go over to Genesis 11. And I'm going to start right around 11 and 14. And we'll see a little bit more of the lineage from Peleg and from Eber. It says, and Salah lived 30 years and begot Eber. And Salah lived after he begot Eber 403 years and begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years and begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years and begot sons and daughters. So we can see here that at this point, because of the earth being divided, Abram, along with his offspring and descendants, he began to travel further into the land. And I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. It says, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram, his name was Abram at this point. He had not yet been named Abraham by the Father. It says, so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him, and and Abram was 75 years old, and he departed out of Haran. So we see that at this point, Abram was in the land of Haran, and he began to travel to a land that was promised to him by the Father. Let's just see if I can find get an idea of where Haran is. Let's see. I've got a couple maps here. And it's not the best of maps, but we can kind of get an idea of where Haran is. And we can see Haran here. Right. So just reading a little bit further, I'm going to go to Genesis 11 and 26. And it reads, it says, and Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram and Nahor and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. And Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. It says in verse 28, and Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abraham and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, and the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah. The father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. But Sarah was barren, she had no child, and Terah took Abram and his son, and Lot and the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarah, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So they journeyed. At this point, they were in Haran, but they were headed on they were on a journey to go into the land of Canaan. So I just want to see where that land of Canaan is. And I'm just going to go to Google just to get an idea to show you exactly where that land is. And as according to Google, AI overview says in the Bible, the land of Canaan is described as territory encompassing areas now known as Israel, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, and parts of Syria. It was historically located in the southern Levant, a region in the eastern Mediterranean. The boundaries of Canaan varied in biblical texts, sometimes including all of Palestine and Syria, sometimes just the area west of the Jordan River, and sometimes a coastal strips. So we can see that even before the land that we call Israel today was called Canaan, and it was a land that had been promised to Abram, which is the reason for him traveling to that land, because the Lord had promised him that land. And I'm going to go to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 7 just to back that up. It says, and the Lord, Yahweh, appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. And you know what? I'm going to go to the blue letter. I want to take a look, because we see Lord there, and I want to see what it says in the blue letter, according to the blue letter. I'm going back to Genesis 12 and verse 7. And I just want to show you what we're looking at. So even at this point, Abraham knew what the Father's name was. And it appears to say Jehovah, but we know that there's no V, there's no E in the Hebrew. So we know that that's V is pronounced as a W, and his name is Yahweh. Ye meaning he, Hawa says exists. He is. So even at this point, Abram was given, that's what the blessing that Shem passed on to his descendants was the name. That's why Shem's name means name, because that's what he was given. He was given the Father's name, and that was a blessing. And it is a blessing to know what the Father's name, because so many of us don't know what his name is. I think his name is Jehovah. No, there was no J. So his name couldn't have been Jehovah. It was Yahweh. But I'm going to try to just stay right on subject here. I just wanted to mention that as I was reading. So we see that land had been promised to Abram and his descendants. And I'm just going to read verse 7, chapter 12, verse 7 in Genesis again. It says, "The Lord Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel meaning the house of Yahweh, on the west, and Hayan on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord." So we see how important the name is, because that's the blessing. That's what he was given. But as I said, I'm not going to make this too long. We're going to take baby steps. And even if I have to do another part 3, I don't know how many parts I'll end up having to do. But we're going to take steps to find out how I know who we are. We being the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. So I'm going to cut this at this point, and we'll continue on. And I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. And in finishing, I'm going to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakadash. Shalom.